The tower rose above the valley like a lone witness, steel bones humming softly as wind slid past antennae and cables. From this height, the land below looked unreal. Folds of earth stretching endlessly, villages reduced to pale dots, movement almost imaginary. Heat shimmered in waves, bending distance into a lie. The SEAL commander had stood on many platforms like this, in deserts, mountains, coastlines, but something about this moment made his spine lock. She lay prone at the edge, body aligned with the rifle, as if it were an extension of her bones. No wasted movement, no tremor. Her dark hair was pulled tight, face bare of emotion, eyes sharp and alive behind the scope. The rifle rested steady, barrel pointing into nothingness that only she seemed able to read. Range, someone asked quietly over comms. 3,247 meters, the tech answered, disbelief bleeding through the static. The commander didn't react. He only watched her. Everyone else was doing math. Wind, elevation, curvature, impossibility. He was doing something else. He was remembering every shooter he'd ever seen flinch at half this distance. He was remembering the first time he'd been told something couldn't be done. She adjusted her cheek, welled by a millimeter. Not more, not less. Wind flags downrange danced inconsistently. Left, right, dead, then lying again. The valley was breathing, and she was listening. Who's she targeting? A junior operator whispered, not realizing his mic was open. No one answered, not because they didn't know, but because the question felt wrong, as if asking it missed the point entirely. The commander stepped closer, boots quiet on metal grating. He didn't correct her stance. He didn't need to. This wasn't instruction anymore. This was observation. She exhaled slowly, holding the pause at the bottom of her breath. In that suspended second, the world seemed to narrow, sound fading, wind settling, doubt evaporating. The rifle didn't move. Her finger took up slack with practiced patience. The shot broke clean. Not loud, sharp. A crack that cut the air and then stretched, echoing outward, chasing itself across the valley. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Just heat haze and distance and waiting. Then the radio chirped. Impact confirmed. The words landed harder than the sound. The commander froze, not from shock, but from something colder. Recognition. The kind that arrives when you realize you just witnessed a line being crossed that can't be uncrossed. 3,247 meters. Around them, men exhaled breaths they hadn't known they were holding. Some swore under their breath. Others stared downrange as if distance itself had betrayed them. A few looked at her, not with awe, not with fear, but with recalibration. The mental reshuffling that happens when a limit is erased. She lifted her head from the scope calmly, almost lazily, as if she'd just finished zeroing at a range back home. Her face showed nothing. No smile, no pride, just completion. Target neutralized, she said, voice level, unbothered. The commander finally breathed. He had fought to get her here, not because she needed the chance, but because the system needed convincing. Her scores were always perfect, which made them suspicious. Her calm made them uncomfortable. She didn't brag, didn't posture, didn't explain herself. She let results speak, and that unnerved people who preferred noise. They'd questioned her temperament, her restraint, her silence. They never questioned her accuracy again. Later, when the rifle was cleared and the tower emptied, the commander stayed behind. The sun had begun its descent, painting the valley in long shadows. She stood at the railing now, looking out, not at the target area, but beyond it, eyes distant. That was beyond doctrine, he said finally. She nodded once. Doctrine assumes hesitation. He studied her profile. You didn't hesitate. No, sir. Why? She didn't answer immediately. Wind tugged at her sleeve. Somewhere below, the world continued unaware. Because the shot was already taken, she said at last, I just had to let it arrive. He felt something settle in his chest. Understanding, maybe, or acceptance. He realized then that the question everyone kept asking, who's she targeting, had never been about the enemy. It had been about her, about whether she aimed at threats or at limits. The truth was simpler and more unsettling. She targeted certainty. And once she locked onto it, nothing, distance, doubt, or doctrine stood a chance.